It is the year 2005. People all over the UK are waiting with bated breath for the return of Doctor Who after 16 years of being off the air. The success of Doctor Who was in the hands of one man, Russell T Davies, and this is the story of how he fixed the Daleks. The momentous task of bringing back the fearsome Daleks actually fell to the writer Robert Shearman. Shearman had previously written multiple Doctor Who plays for the audio drama company Big Finish Productions. In 2003, Shearman created the story Jubilee. Jubilee saw the 6th Doctor and his companion Evelyn land in an alternate timeline version of England, where the English Empire runs the world thanks to the ruthless dictator President Rochester. The President is able to keep his violent, deadly propaganda campaign running because he has captured the sole surviving Dalek in the universe. Over the course of the play, the Doctor comes face to face with a damaged, weak Dalek that initially terrifies him until he realises the imprisoned Dalek cannot attack. Sound familiar? That's just the start. The Doctor in the alternate universe is a war hero who destroyed all of the Daleks in the last great Dalek War of 1903. Later, the Doctor's companion finds herself alone in the same room as the last Dalek, leading to the Dalek gaining human emotions such as empathy and respect, eventually refusing to kill Evelyn despite not understanding why. Yes, as it turns out, almost all of these things are major plot points in the 2005 Doctor Who story Dalek. Minor details were changed, such as the Doctor and his companion, the setting, and changing President Rochester into the egotistical Henry Van Statten, but the general concept is largely identical to that of Jubilee. This is due to Russell T Davies drawing from the play in his pitch for a new Dalek story that would recreate the menace of the Daleks in their 1963 debut. Rather than create his own version of Jubilee, Davies requested that Shearman himself write the episode and rework the themes of Jubilee to fit the new story. Shearman obliged, and he ended up penning one of the most critically acclaimed and universally beloved episodes in Doctor Who history.
What had Terry Nation had intended to be a sort of metaphor for the horrors of totalitarianism had become, through overuse, this camp, children's, gimmicky bit of silliness. And it had to be, I felt, in the episode I brought them back in, that nobody thought that those same jokes could be made again.
The episode itself is fantastic. Dalek works as a perfect reintroduction of the Daleks, who were last seen in the 1988 serial Remembrance of the Daleks. Dalek is able to re-establish the Daleks as a significant threat in the universe of Doctor Who. This is because Dalek takes the time to build the story up and address specific criticisms about the villains, such as their inability to climb stairs and their toilet plunger arm.
Well, what's that sink plunger? Alright, sink plunger. Make sure it kills somebody by sucking their face off. She said, they can't go upstairs. And I said, no, well they can, but alright, I'll do that one again and pretend I made it up.
For a more detailed breakdown of this, watch the Magic Theatre's video about this episode. By addressing and fixing these character flaws, Shearman is able to update the Daleks for the 21st century and terrify a new generation of children everywhere. The episode reminds us just how merciless and ruthless one lone Dalek can be. Even though the episode is a standalone story in the middle of Series 1, it would have repercussions felt years later. The Last Great Time War is a significant event in the Doctor Who universe. In the early years of the revived series, very little was known of this war. In the first revived series, all we knew about it was that the Doctor had fought in a devastating war that had resulted in his entire species being wiped out.
My planet's gone. It's dead. It burned like the Earth. It's just rocks and dust. Before its time.
What happened?
There was a war and we lost.
This all changed with the episode Dalek. The episode finally tells us the name of the war and reveals that it was the Daleks who were fighting the mighty Time Lords.
I've got to do this. I've got to end it. The Daleks destroyed my home, my people. I've got nothing left.
This adds a whole new layer to the episode, because it wasn't just a Dalek, it was the last Dalek. The last Dalek versus the last Time Lord, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance, or so it seems. Arguably the biggest part of the episode is the actual journey of the Dalek itself. The Dalek breaks free of its prison and escapes, thanks to the time traveller's touch of Rose Tyler. However, after slaughtering an entire base full of soldiers, the Dalek cannot bring itself to kill a cornered, trapped Rose, nor can it kill Van Statten, the very man who imprisoned and tortured the Dalek in the first place. This is, to the best of my knowledge, the first time in a Doctor Who episode that a Dalek has genuinely hesitated without promise of reward or demanding anything for its mercy. This is because Daleks don't have mercy. They hardwired it out of their species. Well, until Moffat arrived, that is. This merciless race lacks any sort of humanity, yet human emotions begin to manifest inside the last Dalek. Not only was it touched by a time traveller, that time traveller was human. The Dalek absorbed human DNA and mutated. So when you take a hateful, xenophobic master race and inject a piece of the impure and inferior races into their DNA, what do you think would happen? Being part human in even the slightest aspect is enough to ruin a Dalek's very being and disrupt their entire outlook on life. It makes them a disgrace against their race and a traitor against everything the Daleks stand for. This means that by the end of the episode, Rose's Dalek is losing its sanity. It is disgusted by itself and despises its very own existence. A Dalek cannot be impure. By having that human DNA inside it, it is no longer a Dalek. So it literally commits suicide. This is a moment that means a lot more than it seems to mean initially. It shows so much about the Daleks in one single moment. It reveals just how much the Daleks hate other life and the extreme lengths they go to in order to cleanse the universe of all things not Dalek. Dalek truly is a brilliant episode that does so much for every aspect of the show. It brings back the Daleks in a terrifying way, adds a new layer to their relationship with the Doctor, alongside sowing the seeds of many important elements that would play a major role in later episodes of not only Series 1, but all 4 Davies series. While the outline of the episode is basic enough, the themes and details are bursting at the seams. There is so much happening in Dalek, and yet it is so simple, so subtle that you don't notice just how significant its events are until you look deeper. Dalek is one of, if not the most, important Base Under Siege episode in all of New Who. There was no army of Daleks. No grand scheme to enslave the world, no. There was just one last Dalek who was driven insane by its own impurity.
And Rob Sheeman's Dalek episode completely reinvented them, so they're not a joke that goes into adverts anymore. They're a real strong monster.
So that last Dalek was pretty dangerous and threatening, wasn't it? Well, now imagine an entire army of them. Yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid.
I'm not afraid.
You will be. You will be.
Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways are the two episodes that make up the Series 1 finale. Throughout the whole of the series, the words Bad Wolf appear as a recurring theme. At the start of the episode Bad Wolf, the Doctor, Rose Tyler and Captain Jack Harkness find themselves separated and trapped in different parts of the Game Station, a space station that had appeared under a different name in the episode The Long Game. Interestingly enough, The Long Game actually comes right after Dalek, with Dalek being episode 6 and The Long Game being episode 7. This, combined with the appearance of the Game Station in Bad Wolf, is an incredibly subtle piece of foreshadowing and narrative linking. At first, it just seems like a coincidence that these episodes happen to be placed beside each other, but it is actually extremely clever and makes perfect sense. It gives you all the clues you need to work out the mystery behind the Bad Wolf episode, but you just don't think to piece them together because it is hidden in plain sight. Over the course of Bad Wolf, we encounter a mystery aboard the Game Station. There are thousands of people on the station at any given time. These people are forced to participate in these games against their will. The punishment for losing the games is death. For example, eviction in Big Brother takes the form of disintegration. In a shocking turn of events, Rose is eliminated from the weakest link and she is disintegrated just meters from the Doctor. This leads to one of the most memorable cliffhanger endings in all of New Who, because it is revealed that Rose was actually teleported to the Dalek ship. This huge reveal of a Dalek army is incredibly significant for a multitude of reasons. The most obvious reason for the reveal's significance is the terrifying amount of Daleks. In the episode Dalek, we saw just how powerful and dangerous a lone Dalek is, so when an entire army of the villains appear, we clearly understand that this is a big deal. We have a justified feeling of terror due to the obviously increased threat now posed by the Daleks, because one soul-trapped Dalek was enough to terrify the Doctor. This is the perfect and most logical progression of the Daleks in New Who. Whilst this bigger enemy theme is hugely significant. It only scratches the surface of the narrative seeds planted by the episode Dalek. We learn a lot about this Dalek army at the beginning of Parting of the Ways. First of all, they were somehow able to survive the Time War, much like the lone Dalek from earlier in Series 1. However, the entire army is not from the Time War, as it is implied that the only member of the army from the actual Time War is its leader.
So tell me, how did you survive the Time War?
They survived through me.
Rose, Captain, this is the Emperor of the Daleks.
So this begs the question, if only one Dalek survived the Time War, how come there are millions of them in this new army? Well, remember how those disintegration beams turned out to be teleporters? All the people who were supposedly disintegrated were actually transported to the Dalek fleet, where they were assimilated and somehow transformed into new Daleks, thereby creating an army full of half Dalek, half human hybrids.
So you created an army of Daleks out of the dead.
That makes them half human.
Those words are blasphemy!
Remember in Dalek when the lone Dalek went insane from its impurity? Well, the same thing has happened with this Dalek army, except that this Dalek army didn't want to kill themselves. They ended up worshipping the Emperor like a god. That dude had a hell of a god complex.
I am the god of all Daleks! Worship him! Worship him! Worship him!
Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways form a brilliant series finale written by Russell T Davies. It uses Sherwood's themes from Jubilee and Dalek to build on the mythos of the Time War and the Daleks. The finale furthers the concept of Dalek-human hybrids, something that is revisited in later Dalek episodes. Davies also uses the finale to introduce a moral dilemma that plays an important part in the last of his Dalek stories, the Series 4 finale. Parting of the Ways places the Doctor in an impossible position. The only way that the Daleks can be defeated is by firing an unfinished Delta wave that will also wipe out all life on Earth. This is significant because even though these new Daleks are just crazed scavengers, they were still able to push the Doctor to the edge of mass genocide on a planet-sized scale.
The Delta wave must kill every living thing in its path, with no distinction between human and Dalek.
At the end of the episode, the Daleks are defeated and the day is saved, albeit with heavy losses, including the Doctor himself. The episode wraps up the series-long Bad Wolf story arc and seems to finally end the Daleks for good, destroying the last stragglers of the Time War. But as I mentioned before, people don't like the Daleks being taken away from their precious Doctor Who, and when you take into account how successful the first series was in popularising the Daleks, there was no way the Daleks were not coming back. But how do you bring back the Daleks for a third time and make things fresh? Well, Russell T Davies had the perfect solution.
But then came the army of ghosts. Then came Torchwood and the war. And that's when it all ended. This is a story of how I died.